Your nervous system is your number one business asset. It is your number one business strategy. And I think a lot of times that really perks business owners' ears up because they're like, wait, if that's my number one strategy, I don't even know what that is. How do I use that? So as business owners, we talk a lot about strategy and what strategy you're using next, or what coach are you working with, or are you going to try this? But I think that a lot of what you don't maybe realize is that your nervous system is actually the operating system that is executing on all those strategies, helping you implement all those strategies. It's helping you make all your decisions every single day. And so I want to dive in on this episode today to talk about what that really looks like, because many of you, if you follow me, if you've listened to my podcast before, or even if you haven't, maybe this is your first episode, something I say a lot is that your nervous system is your number one business asset. It is your number one business strategy. And I think a lot of times that really perks business owners' ears up because they're like, wait, if that's my number one strategy, I don't even know what that is. How do I use that? And so today on this episode, I have with me my creative director, Emily Rowlett. Say hey, Em.
Hey.
And Emily is here. We're doing content today and we're shooting this episode. And I was like, I think it's going to be cool to kind of bring people in on the team as like the audience's perspective, because Emily has been a client in my programs before. She obviously knows a lot about the nervous system now because she does my content. She listens to me talk about it all the time. And I think it would be really cool to just like hear her perspective as somebody who is also a business owner for a couple businesses and a mom and navigating all the things in life. And so we're going to get into that today.
Yeah. To break all of this down though, like if you're saying like your nervous system is the operating system of your business, like what is your nervous system?
Mm-hmm.
And like what is dysregulation?
Yeah, that's good, because a lot of people don't even really know what that means or what is even
I feel like,
regulated.
I also feel like it's like a buzzword.
Yeah,
like it's like
it's trending.
Yeah, nervous system regulation.
It's trending.
Yeah, it's like, but what is that actually? What is it, and what does being dysregulated look like?
Yeah. Okay, this is good. So your nervous system is, so you have two sides to your nervous system. You have your central nervous system, you have your autonomic nervous system. So what I deal with is your autonomic nervous system, and you can actually use automatic as an interchangeable word with autonomic because your nervous system operates automatically. Your autonomic nervous system operates automatically. And so like whenever something happens, like you don't tell your heart rate to go up, it just goes up. You don't tell your palms and your underarms to stop sweating or to start sweating. That just happens automatically. And so the purpose of your nervous system is to keep you safe. That's literally its purpose. And your body, your nervous system actually can't tell the difference between real danger and perceived danger. And so real danger would be like wild animals chasing you, or like maybe your house is on fire and you need to like jump out of like the second floor of your house. That is real danger. Also, and as business owners, let's talk about a few things that feel dangerous. A client emails you with very upset about something, or not happy with the service you're providing, or not happy with the product they got. They're mad at you about something. That also feels very dangerous to our autonomic nervous systems. And so what our nervous system does is it sends you into one of three states. It sends you into fight or flight, which a lot of you have probably heard of. That is the sympathetic state of your nervous system. That's that fight or flight where it's like, I either need to flee, like I'm going to avoid, I'm going to go the other direction, or I'm going to fight. I'm going to push through. And I see a lot of business owners that live their life 99% of the time in this fight or flight place. The problem though, is that whenever you're in this fight or flight state for too long, adrenaline and cortisol is pumping through your body constantly every single day. Your body is like, okay, it's actually unsafe for us to stay here in fight or flight. So I'm going to keep you safe and I'm going to drop you into what another state is called shutdown. And that is dorsal vagal. And this is all polyvagal theory. This isn't something I came up with. This is very scientific. It's physiological. It's a part of your body, but it drops you into shutdown. And that's when you kind of feel that like numbing out, like you're apathetic. You're like, I just can't, I simply cannot. It's like the scrolling the phone and all of that. It's you feeling like I just can't do anything. I can't accomplish anything. And then we also have a third state of our nervous system, which is the state we really want to be able to access, which is that ventral vagal, which is that flow state where you feel really safe. You feel social. You feel like connected to yourself. You feel connected to other people. And so those are kind of the three states that your nervous system will send you in based on what's happening in your external environment. And, I talked about a client being upset with you. There's so many other ways that your nervous system is alerted. It's like a team member issue or something that happens with your kids at school, or maybe you got in a fight with your husband. It's like there's all these things that are happening in our external environment that are sending us into different states of the nervous system. And based on whatever state that you're in, whatever state you're living in, you can ultimately be really dysregulated. So that fight or flight state and the dorsal vagal state, those bottom two, if you picture like a ladder, are the dysregulated states. The top of the ladder is that ventral vagal, that safe social state. That's the regulated state. Okay. So when you are dysregulated, what does that look like? This can look like snapping at your children constantly. This can look like numbing out and scrolling on your phone for like an hour. Anybody like get in your bed at night and you're like, this is my me time. And all of a sudden you're scrolling TikTok for like 2 hours. It's like, that's actually not beneficial for anyone. It can look like, just feeling really disconnected. Like if you've ever gone to the grocery store and you're like, I do not want to see anyone because I don't want to talk to humans right now. That's dysregulation. It's showing up. If it's you reacting a lot, like to your team or to clients, it can look like you not, have you ever if you run a business online and you use social media, have you ever been really, really consistent on social media for like a week or two, and then you fall off the face of the earth and you don't post for a whole week, and you're like, I just don't understand why I was so consistent and then now I'm not. It's like, okay, you're in a different state of the nervous system. And the stories that we tell ourselves in our brain, the narratives that we tell ourselves in our brain are based on what state of the nervous system that we are falling into. And so here's what I really want you to hear about the nervous system. The goal is not to be in ventral all the time. The goal is not to be in that flow state, safe and social, so connected, just I'm thinking of $1 million dollar ideas. That's actually not the goal. Even though it sounds like that should be the goal. The goal is actually to be able to move through all three states fluidly, daily, without getting stuck in one state. Because you may wake up in one state and you want to be able to access easily another state. Something may happen, at 10 o'clock when you start working in the morning, and that drops you down into a dysregulated state. And you want to be able to get regulated so that you can keep moving forward in your business. Because when you are dysregulated, that affects the actions you're going to take in your business. So let's say that you signed up. Okay, this is a great example. Let's say you signed up for with a marketing coach who's going to teach you how to do marketing in your business. Okay. And they're like, okay, I want you to host a webinar talking about this topic and invite people to it. And you immediately start questioning the strategy they're giving you. You're like, nobody's going to show up to that. I'm going to be too scared to get on camera. How would I even do that? I don't even have an email list. I don't even have a big email list, or I don't even know what I would post about that, or what would I even say? And you literally start telling yourself all the reasons why it's not going to work. That's your story that you're telling yourself about a strategy that someone told you. And so you actually sabotage yourself and you halt yourself from executing on this strategy that the marketing expert told you to do, because your nervous system doesn't feel safe being visible like that. So visibility is a huge thing, being visible and not shrinking yourself, because that's what you do. You shrink yourself, but you disguise it as logic. You're like, you don't think oh, I'm too scared to do this. You think that's never going to work. I've tried a webinar before and nobody showed up, or that's not how I'm going to sell anything. You literally disguise the reasons why you can't do the strategy with logical reasons. What you don't realize is it's actually your nervous system feeling unsafe that is giving you those logical reasons to sabotage, because it's like, hey, we're not going to be safe if we do that webinar. We are actually going to feel really exposed. What if you say something and people judge you? What if you get a bad comment in the chat while you're doing it? That doesn't feel safe to your nervous system, so then you don't do it. And so when I say that your nervous system is your number one business strategy, that's what I mean. It's like, if you are paying all of these experts to teach you how to run ads, how to run a funnel, how to build a funnel, how to a social media strategy. Emily, will tell me, I want you to record a video doing this. And the reason that I'm so consistent on social media, and I have been for years, is because my nervous system is regulated enough to know that I can get on camera, say something, fail, mess up, redo it, post something that's maybe doesn't hit or maybe does hit, say something polarizing, and I can handle it. I can handle whatever the outcome ends up being. And I think that that is one tiny little way that like I am able to continue taking action moving forward in my business, because I'm not scared of being seen. I'm not scared of being visible. I'm not scared of saying something wrong or saying something that's polarizing or people aren't going to agree with.
Well, I think that like what I've learned through all the nervous system stuff is that like it makes you more secure in who you are. Whereas like business owners are like always chasing the next thing, like, because that's just what we do. We chase the next thing. We chase the next thing. And I think that working on your nervous system, working on my nervous system has allowed me to be like, okay, like no matter, I can't control 98% of what's happening, but I can control who I am, and I feel really secure in that. And I think that that is something that was an outcome for me that like I couldn't have predicted was an outcome for me. It's like, oh, like it's actually gonna be fine. Like there's this like level of like, oh, it's gonna be fine. That like I feel like a lot of people get in today's society through like either being in shutdown mode like that, or even like people end up on medication for stuff like that. Like I remember when I was postpartum, like I have twin girls. And I remember when I was freshly postpartum with them, I was like, if I don't get this like anxiety in check, I'm gonna have to be medicated, which is totally fine. Like medication's like totally fine. But I was like, is there another way? And I feel like in business, it's the same way too. People are like, they quit or they like overfunction for too long and then they burn out and they quit. And I think that when I started working with you was I was starting to see a lot of success, and I was like, okay, I can't do this forever.
There's two ways I can do this.
Yeah, well, and I feel like whenever people come in to work with you, they're either like at a super high level of success and they're like, okay, I've achieved all the things and now I want to figure out how to stabilize my life. And then you also have people that are on the on-ramp to success that are like, I can see this coming from a million miles away, and like I need to address it now so that I build from a healthy place and not from an unhealthy place.
Let's actually talk about that. I want to talk about these two different types of people that I work with, because there really are like two different types of people. I have some people that come in and they're like, I already made all the money. Like I'm already making millions of dollars and my life feels really, really hard every single day. A lot of the women, not all of the women, but a lot of the women I work with are moms. And a lot of them have children that are like school age children. So like small children that still depend on them a lot. And I mean, I have clients who are like waking up at 4:00 in the morning and starting work like at 4 a.m., working until like 6:30 when their kids wake up for the day. Then they're like, okay, now I'm going to get my kids ready for the day after I've already worked for 2 hours, and then they're working all day, and then they're like there at dinner time, and then they're working at night. It's like, can you
what is the saying that you always say? You're like, but can you do this
forever?
Like, you can do this
for a minute,
but can you?
Well, and what happens is some people do that and they tell themselves, I just have to operate this way until I achieve XYZ goal. I have to do it until I hit this revenue level, or I have to do it until I can afford to hire employees to backfill, the production that I'm doing, or like whatever it is. They're like, I just have to do this until this. Well, what happens is when you're living in fight or flight, which people that work like that are operating in survival mode, that is fight or flight. That's that state of the nervous system. I would say that like most of the women that I work with come to me in that state, that's where I was before I started the nervous system work. I was living in fight or flight, like 95%
it makes sense though, because like if the top level is like I'm feeling good, and the bottom level is like I'm frozen. I think of like
shutdown.
I'm like in it inside out. Like I'm just like there. It's like you have to be in that fight or flight mode, almost to, like come to the realization of like, I need help. What I mean?
Well, and that's the thing too, is why I said like the goal is not to be at the top where you're like always feeling good. The goal is to move up and down the states.
Problems.
Yes, you need problems. You need stress.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain level of stress to grow. You also have to have a certain level of rest to grow. And I think a lot of people are missing the rest. They're only focused on the stress, like adding the stress, adding the hours, working more, producing more. And they think that that's going to be the thing that makes them feel fulfilled in life. Like, gosh, I've done a couple podcast episodes on that, and it won't. You will never feel fulfilled by like doing more, working more.
When they rest, like
it feels
they end up questioning their whole life.
Yes.
So I can actually speak of this because we're recording this at the very end of 2025. This episode's coming out at the beginning of 2026.
Yeah.
And I took days off at Christmas, and I told you, I was like, you know,
Yeah.
like, I'm working all the time. She's like, please do less. And
I was like, we're not going to talk except for to say Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So, but I actually took time off, and I was like, I'm having thoughts about business and life that I like haven't had in a long time, simply because like I gave myself space to like host and like bake sourdough again and like do all these things like I love doing but haven't done for the past year because I've been building 2 businesses over the last year.
Yeah.
And so, it's just so, but then whenever you have the nervous system working, you're actually implementing it.
Yeah.
Like you're able to live fully in multiple areas of your life, you know?
Yeah.
It shouldn't take until you take a break. It shouldn't take stopping to be like, oh, like this is what's actually going on. Maybe you can actually move between all of the states.
But here's the thing too,
But you
Emily,
need the rest.
because you are familiar with nervous system regulation, you were able to do that and see the benefits.
So like I could recognize the things because I had the skill.
Yes,
But if it was just like a normal, if this was me last year, I'd be like, I'm quitting everything. Christmas break was amazing. Like I'm not coming back for this. You know?
Sometimes, but then sometimes also people try to take breaks and it feels so uncomfortable to rest. It feels so uncomfortable to rest and take breaks that they can't.
Yeah.
They think something has gone wrong. They're like, I'm going to take the week of Christmas off. And then they have this space on their calendar and all of a sudden they're like, this feels awful. I don't like space. You're thinking about working. You're thinking about all the things you need to do. You're running through the mental to-do list.
You feel guilty for not obeying this to-do list that you've literally made up in your brain.
Right. And that is a sign of dysregulation too. Like if you cannot rest, like if you cannot turn your brain off and like be present with your family without thinking about work constantly, like that's also a sign of dysregulation.
If you can't like leave your phone, like if you're like because every notification, every Instagram DM, all of that's like a dopamine hit, you know? And so it's like your body's just fueled by that. And we know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Like,
and you feel
everyone knows that by now.
Yeah. And you feel uncomfortable not being with your phone because it's like, what if I miss something? It's like, okay, what if you miss something? Like, what if you miss something? Is that unsafe? Your nervous system is telling you that it's unsafe. And that's why you're glued to it, right? The other thing, so we were saying there's 2 different types of business owners I work with. So there's the really successful ones who are already successful, who have built businesses. They're making lots of money. They're making multi 6 figures. They're making multi 7 figures. They're coming to me and they're like, I have been wanting to build this business forever. I've built it and this ain't it. So I have those people. Then I also have the people that are, maybe they're starting out a business, maybe not starting out, like they've built some level of success. They want to grow that. They want to scale it. Let's say they're like making 100, 200,000 and they're like, I want to scale this to $500,000. I want to scale this to $1 million. And I know that there's specific actions I need to take in order to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sabotaging myself from taking those actions. And so that's kind of what I was hinting and alluding to earlier when like you hire the marketing coach to tell you to take certain action and strategy, and then you don't do it. Or it's like you need to build a funnel and you work with a funnel coach who says this is the steps you need to do, but then you're like, oh my God, building this funnel is going to require me to get on a video and talk, and then I have to do this.
You can't execute. Like you can't execute on the skill that you're learning if your body isn't safe.
Yes.
Like
so,
and
this is kind of brings me back to my personal story. So actually last night, Emily, we were prepping for today's content day and she was kind of sending me notes and stuff we wanted to get. And I sent her a screenshot from my DMs. This girl who also owns like a marketing social media agency messaged me and she was like, hey, I actually have a question, like business owner to business owner. She's like, not, I'm a nervous system coach. And so most of the DMs I get are people like wanting nervous system coaching, which she didn't realize that the answer I gave her was going to be like nervous system coaching.
Yeah.
But she was like business owner to business owner, which is funny because that is a lot of what I do is business coaching. Like I'm constantly coaching my clients on their business and on their strategies just because of all the hundreds of thousands of dollars of money that I've spent investing in my business. I just know a lot about building a business. So she messages me and she's like, hey, like I own a marketing social media agency and I've noticed the shift in your messaging. She's like, how did you come up with this whole, like your nervous system is your number one business asset? She was like, because that messaging really resonated with me. And I'm just wondering, like, where did that come from? Like, how did you come from that messaging? Was it like testing different things in the market? And honestly, it was all of the above. Like I am constantly guessing and constantly testing, and sometimes things bomb and sometimes things hit. But that messaging specifically came because of my own business growth. I talk about how I was stagnant. My growth was stagnant for a few years, and I was doing more like physical type health coaching, like previously. And I was coaching on mindset and I was coaching on the nervous system, but it wasn't like the way I was building my business. Yeah. It was kind of like an ad hoc. It was like, oh, if you sign up for, coaching on like your food and workouts, you're also going to get mindset coached by me. You're also going to get coached on your nervous system. Cause that was
doing the most.
Right. I really was doing the most. And my business was stagnant for 3 years and I wanted that growth. Like as a business owner, I was like, I want to scale. I want to hit 500,000. I want to hit 1 million. Like I wanted to grow. And I was paying for all these strategies. Like I was signing up for, I learned everything there was to know about sales skills, and it was amazing training. Like this was awesome. Like what they were telling me to do was awesome. I wasn't able to fully execute on it to the best of my ability. Watching the modules, showing up to the calls, asking the questions. Like some of you are like literally signing up for courses and like not even entering the portal because it is too much on your nervous system for you to even press play.
It's like people think that clicking buy people do the same thing with clothes.
Yeah.
Like you think that buying the thing is going to give you the identity.
Mm-hmm. And you actually have to wear the thing and do all the other steps.
Do the course.
Yeah.
And practice.
Implement and do the homework. And learn and all of that. Yes. Yeah. So, it wasn't until, because I had all these years of stagnant growth, and it wasn't until I did the nervous system work myself. I focused on because I said that earlier, that I used to live in fight or flight like 95% of the time. I was like always tired and wired. I was always in go mode. I was always like trying to produce, grow, push, like do more things on the to-do list, like execute. And I have 4 kids, like, and this was after I had my 4th, and I was like breastfeeding and doing all these things. And I was hitting burnout ultimately. Uh-huh. And so it was at that point that I decided to get the nervous system coaching myself, learn more about how to implement that in my life, got certified in neurosomatics, got certified as a life coach, like learned more about the body. So neurosomatics, the body, your nervous system, and like how that incorporates your mindset, learning all of that, applying that to my own life and my own business, healing my own nervous system, being able to access that like safe and social, more connected state, actually rest, actually slow down enough so I could speed up. That is the thing that helped me build my business. So whenever this girl asked me, like, how did you come up with that messaging? I was like, it's not that I was just like, what messaging will work? It was literally,
that's what people do.
Yeah.
They're like, what's going to be my tagline? What's going to be what's going to be the thing that like puts me on the map?
It wasn't like, oh, let's come up with the most clickbaity thing ever. It was literally, oh, actually this is true.
Yeah.
My nervous system, my life experience is that my nervous system was the business strategy that helped me up level and elevate my business, because after I did the nervous system work, and I worked really hard on it. I mean, I'm always working on my nervous system, but I really focused on healing it and getting out of that really burnt out place for a year. That year following that was the year that I more than doubled my revenue. I went from like the $250,000 to $300,000 range to over 600,000 and then to $1 million. And I truly attribute that growth to my nervous system, because I didn't learn some like all of a sudden some like new amazing skill. I was able to execute on all the strategies and skills that I had been learning, because I've invested like hundreds of thousands of dollars in strategy from different coaches, from different containers, over the past 6 years. And once my nervous system was actually online, I was actually living present. I was actually able to take action in my business, even with fear and self-doubt being present. Because that's another thing that I think people don't realize, is that when you regulate your nervous system, it's not like all of a sudden you just feel like all of the courage in the world and you're just like, I'll just do it no matter, I don't have any fear.
It empowers you to like do it anyway.
It's like walk with the fear. The nervous system
work is the thing that makes you be like, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to walk with fear.
Because I know that I'm safe. Like, I know that I'm fine.
Like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen if I do this webinar and it bombs? It's like being able to see that worst case scenario on the other side and be like, I can hold that. Like, I can handle that if that happens. Or hiring someone. Like, maybe by the time this episode airs, I'll have hired someone, but I'm trying to hire someone for an executive assistant, personal assistant role. And of course, like that comes in my head where I'm like, okay, like my revenue can support it, but like, what if something happens? What if this happens? What if it's not the right fit? What if I have to fire someone? It's like, okay,
then what if?
Like, what if? And it's like, okay, spell out what would be the worst case scenario.
Well, you know what I think about a lot too is I'm like, in the grand scheme of my life, however long my life is, like whatever's happening right now is like a blip of time. In all that matters, it's all like dominoes that are getting stacked along, you know. But it's like, it's only this tiny amount of time. And I think we act like it's like your whole life. It is your whole life at this moment.
We act like it is like a life or death situation. Our businesses feel like a life or death situation.
All the time.
All the time.
And it's addicting.
It is. It's addicting. And the other thing that's really interesting is that we think what's happening is because of social media, because of the culture we live in, because we are constantly in comparison mode.
Yeah.
We think our nervous system's wire to think we have to be perfect.
Right.
And so because you're seeing these like pretty curated feeds and you're following all these influencers who are going on these amazing vacations and they have their custom designed homes, you think like nothing or they have this like hot, perfect husband. Like you think like your life needs to look like that. And if your life doesn't look like that, there's something wrong with you. And so doing the nervous system work, I actually wrote this down as like a whole podcast topic. So maybe we'll do an expanded one on this later, but it's like becoming more confident and comfortable with like being a human.
Yeah.
And when I say that, being a human, I mean an imperfect, sinning human, because that is what we are. Like God didn't create us to be perfect. God created us and we actually are sinners. Like we are sinners. We do things wrong. We fail. We mess up. We have to take ownership, and taking ownership's hard. That feels unsafe to the nervous system. Like talking about that, like being able to take insane ownership, being able to just accept that you are a flawed human that is never going to be perfect, that is never going to do everything right, that is not going, like we think our business growth should look like this, completely linear and completely on the up and up, when really there's a lot of peaks, there's a lot of valleys, like as you are growing in your business. And the nervous system regulation work that I teach my clients, that my clients are doing, it actually allows you to accept that humanity.
Yeah.
As a part of yourself.
I think it's so much of that is like slowing down too. Like you're always like, slow down, everybody.
Yeah, but slowing down feels unsafe.
Yes. Well, and I was listening to an episode of Diary of a CEO this morning, and I texted you this quote because I was like, Stephen Bartlett is insane and owns all these businesses and whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. But he was saying, he's like, if what I learned, like they were talking about 2026, like if you looked back at 2026 and you were like, what is going to be, like, what would be success to you? And he's like, honestly, like, if I finally slow down, because he's like, when I do slow down, what I notice is 50 or 100% more success from slowing down than me just striving all the time.
Yes, the striving.
Like, I was like, yeah, I was like, Emily, we need this. Like, there you go. But seriously, I was like, that is the thing, is that whenever you do slow down and create that space, it allows you to increase
when you get the clarity.
Yes, you get clarity, and it allows you to either delegate things, to decide what's not important that you're not going to do anymore, and it allows you to be this like fully functioning business owner, but also a fully functioning human. Yeah. Which I think that people, whether they realize it or not, like that's what they really want.
Yes, they do.
Like, I'm a business owner, but I'm also a human. And I think that at some point of success in your business, you're done with your business being your whole personality.
Yeah.
You know, I really think that, you know, because you're unrelatable to 97% of the world whenever you're an entrepreneur as it is. And so it's like, it's like putting the business in its place so that you can have your whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
But on the note of slowing down, it's like, if you aren't familiar with the nervous system work, or like what it feels like to be regulated, the skills, the resources, like using a regulation resource, then the slowing down can honestly like actually not be that regulating sometimes. Because, and I'm thinking about people who maybe did like plan to take time off in December, but like you filled the time with drinking and eating more and scrolling your phone constantly. And you didn't actually
family
or
family parties,
and you didn't actually take the time to like regulate through all of that.
Yeah.
Then that rest time isn't actually going to be really fruitful, because some people are like, well, man, I take breaks from my business all the time and like it doesn't really help me. But like think about like I always use the example of like a silent walk or like a long bath, like without your phone, or in the shower. Like you always come up with like the best ideas during that time.
Yeah.
You think of new ideas. You get really excited. You come up with $1 million idea, like me and Emily talking about like dropping little notes like in our phones or whatever. Those ideas come to me when I am like truly doing nothing, when I'm regulating, when I'm not working. Yeah. And
you posted on your Instagram story yesterday, you're like, I'm bored. And then we got like 700 texts. You're like, man, I need to like do nothing more often.
Literally, I was like, sorry, my brain, I'm regulating right now. And my brain is just like spewing so many ideas. And
because you get out of the do.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I love so much, and like something that my team is like really pushing for me to do and like wanting me to do and like putting things in place to allow me to do this more, is like at our meeting for 2026, we did a full like day meeting for 2026. And Lana, who is my director of operations, was like, we need to get to the place where like you are like reading books for like 2 hours a day. Yeah. She's like, literally, like that needs to be like on your daily agenda, like read books for 2 hours, because I need to be like learning and educating myself and giving my brain space to think and like have new ideas. And normally whenever I do those things, that is whenever like I get really good ideas, or I come up with, a different way of doing something, or a piece of content, or a piece of messaging, or like that one sentence, like your nervous system is your number one business asset. Like we were talking earlier today about like, where did that originate from? And it was actually a training that I did for one of Emily's companies, Rowlett. And I came up with this like basically webinar, like masterclass, like education talk that I gave to her members of Rowlett. And I just felt like the content resonated so much with them that I was like, I'm going to turn this into like a free masterclass to give to like the general public, because this is so good. And then I've gotten such great feedback from the title, and people are like, wait, that actually is really making me think. And even one of my clients that went on my retreat, that was in my mastermind, was like, that sentence was the thing that made me be like, oh my gosh, like this is the missing piece. Cause she already had built a really successful business. Her body just couldn't keep up with the business that she was building. And she knew that if she needed to like hire more people, grow the business, like put all these things in place, she had to get her nervous system regulated and more online to be able to even take action and execute those decisions she needed to make.
Yeah. Well, I think that what I'm hearing is like, it's not about just like elevate your business by regulating your body.
Mm-hmm.
Regulate to elevate.
Oh, regulate to elevate.
Wow.
Imagine that. Came up with that challenge title.
Yeah. So I guess like what we can wrap this all up with, like, if someone is hearing about this nervous system stuff or has heard about this nervous system stuff, and they're like, how is my nervous system like my operating system for my business? And if they take away one thing from this episode going into, they could be listening to this whenever, but if it's the beginning of 2026, or honestly, any day can be like a new year for people. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you want them to take away from this whole thing?
Yeah. I just want you to take away from it that like, you can't move forward in your business without this piece. Like, you think
it's going to get you eventually.
It will get you eventually. Like, this is the missing piece that so many business owners are missing. I mean, I talk to hundreds of female business owners all of the time. I have worked with thousands. Like, I talk to so many people, whether you are making millions of dollars or you're just starting out, or you're, growing like multi-six figures up to $1 million, wherever you are in business. Like, my clients and the women I work with are all struggling with the same things. And the work that I teach can really be applied at like any level of business. And whether there's,
you have ways to work with you for any level
I do.
Business.
I do have different ways to work with me, like different, avenues you can enter into like my realm. But this is a missing piece, and there is going to be a time when you come to a standstill, you come to a halt, because you can't elevate your business outside of like the level of success that your body can currently hold. You will continue to keep self-sabotaging yourself down back to the current level of business, because the next level requires a different nervous system.
So true. I mean, I've experienced it too.
You have times where
you hit the next level, and then like a client drops, and you're like, dang it, I'm back down here. And then it's like you get to the next, it requires a different version.
And you'll self-sabotage, like it'll feel very logical the ways you're sabotaging yourself. So if you're like, oh, I always have $20,000 months and I'd love to get to that 50, and like you get like, I've even heard people say that. They're like, oh my God, yeah, like one time I got to like 35 and it was like so amazing. And then I like overspent in my business. And then it like, I went back down to 20, and it's like, I thought I was getting closer to 50. And then I like sabotaged back down to 20. There's so many things that are going to happen. You have to up level your nervous system, because new levels, new devils. Like as you grow in your business, as you get a bigger business, you're going to have constant new like devils, for lack of a better word, that you're hitting, like new leadership requirements, hiring, firing, being able to step out of the business more. Gosh, that's a huge one. Like that'd be a whole other episode, like control. Like if you feel like you can't let go of control in your business, that's also your nervous system. So yeah, if I had to say one thing just to wrap this episode up, it is that this is the missing piece that you quite literally cannot avoid. Like you can't continue forward in your business if you do not master your nervous system and the ability to regulate it, and knowing this, it is a skill to learn. This is not something that you can just like watch a TikTok video on and be like, oh yeah, I hear people all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I've been working on this regulation stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, tell me about what you're doing. And they tell me like what they're doing. And I'm like, that's not it.
Well, and like, I think that people, what I wish I would have realized sooner about nervous system and all the things. Like, 'cause I even like I was doing your emails, just your emails at the time. And then I was watching a challenge to help with content. And then I was like, oh, I need this. And then like I invested in your program. But I wish that I would have realized that the scrolling, like you can follow all these accounts. You can like save things on your Pinterest board.
Oh my gosh.
You can
dopamine hit.
Yeah, you can have that's the best thoughts in the world, but it's like until you just narrow in and you're like, I'm going to have a coach. You can consume all the podcasts.
Well, like you, like Emily, you were literally like working with me, writing my emails. You had like basically me like as a free resource.
Yeah.
And until you pushed your chips in, you paid the money to do the program. You weren't truly invested, because invested people are people that invest are more invested. Yeah. People that pay attention.
Right. Yeah.
And so like,
and there's going to be a right time for everything.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, some people are going to not wait until they hit that for like dead end, and some people are going to wait until they hit the dead end. But I completely agree with you from like an outsider perspective. Even if I like wasn't your creative director, didn't work with you, I think that like that is the missing piece for people.
Yeah.
Because you can't, it's taking your whole life into account. It's not just your business. And I think that's what's different. There's lots of nervous system people out there in the world. Yeah. But like, and you're not paying me to say this right now. Yeah. But I'm just saying that I really feel like it's the whole life aspect in putting your business in its place that I feel like has been so huge for me and for a bunch of like everybody that has come into contact with you. Yeah. Especially I'm thinking like women in your mastermind. Yeah. That do your retreats and stuff like that.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. Cool.
So good. Well, this was a fun episode. Yeah. We will have more episodes coming in 2026.
Let us know if y'all let us know if y'all like this format too.
Talking back and forth. It just makes it like easier. Emily kind of prompts me with things, makes me think of new things like as we're talking. So yeah. Thank y'all for joining the episode today. And
how can people connect? Like if they're like, oh, okay, I feel like I need this.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you want more, if you're like listening and you're nodding your head and you're like, this is the work that I need to be doing, head to the link in the show notes. I always have some way that you can get into my realm, listen to more podcast episodes. You can join my next masterclass. I always have challenges coming up. There's sometimes free guides to download. So head to the link in the show notes, get in my realm. I promise you will not regret it. See y'all next time. Bye.